Hello everybody, I'm Ramsis.
And I'm the Vespor.
We're here for another edition of Vesper's Retro Reviews. Transformers 1984 Series Review. That's right, we're back again, and we're getting to the next episode in line, and it gets a little complicated because the episode we're about to show you is Fire in the Sky, which is actually the 7th episode created in 1984, December 8th, 1984, written by Dick Robbins, Bryce Malick, and Alfred A. Hegel. But it's weird in that this episode was actually shown later in the actual syndicated run, but this is the episode that was actually created 7th, so we're going to show you guys this episode 7th. I know it's confusing, but we are going in order of actual episode creation, not syndication broadcast. So now, before we get to the episode, I did mention in a previous episode, whenever a new character debuts, we are going to have a little discussion about it, because we are a review show. So in this episode, we have Jetfire, or is it Skyfire?
Well, what we have here is actually Skyfire because of some legal problems they had with Jetfire, resembling a Veritech from the series Macross, which was out roughly around the same time.
So you might all wonder, what is Jetfire? Jetfire is a very, very interesting toy. Jetfire, as the toy is known, was released in 1985, and it was very clearly an Autobot. He has a gigantic Autobot symbol on him, as you can see here. And it doesn't look like your regular Transformer because it's not. This toy is based off of something you might have hopefully heard of if you're retro fans, Macross. That's right. Created by Takatoko Toys, this is a Macross repaint. The Macross VF-1S Super Valkyrie, to be exact. And it looks very strange because it is strange. Somehow Hasbro was able to get the rights to this, quote-unquote, able to get the rights. It's questionable if they were able to. And they pretty much just painted it white and red and put an Autobot symbol on it, and there you go, you got a new Transformer.
Yes, and this didn't last very long because it was quickly taken down after 1985 when it was released. And you would not see a more updated Skyfire until roughly around second generation, which started about 1995.
That's right. That's when they would start using the name again, Jetfire/Skyfire, use reminiscences of it. But for Generation 1, it's going to look very different. Here's the picture of the toy, and now here's the picture of him in the cartoon. See, totally different. Now this was done on purpose. They wanted to separate the look of the toy from the cartoon persona as much as possible, but still have it in the fan's mind that this is a toy you want to get without clearly stating it. But they had notes that they were not to use this character because it was, how can I say, gray area. They sort of had the rights to it, but they sort of didn't. They were marketing it, and they wanted it in the show, but they had to go about it very carefully. So you're going to see this character show up in this episode we're about to do, and he doesn't really do much. It's going to be actually very funny how they use the character, and it's very silly. But you do want this toy. You would think Hasbro would want to heavily, heavily promote it. It's a gigantic robot. I own it. It looks awesome. It has this red armor all over it. He's big. He's bulky. He's going to like make even the Seekers take in their robotic feet. So you're like, why wouldn't Hasbro want to like really promote this? Vespor, you want to talk about why it was changed from Jetfire to Skyfire in this episode?
Well, I'll start with the basic and simplest most reason that they did not own the license to the actual toy model of Jetfire. Not all Transformers were made and licensed by Takara. This was made by the Macross series, so they had to rebrand him to Skyfire and change the model so they would not get sued retroactively.
And I want everyone to remember there's no official quote-unquote reason for this. It's all just zoomed and pretty much sort of kind of realized, but it was never an official statement on why Skyfire/Jetfire only showed up. It's a total of 4 episodes, and that's it. Very cool toy, one of the best. His personality, believe it or not, is that of a scientist. So yes, this big, hulking, powerful Veritech is a dopey, weak-minded scientist. I know that's crazy, but yes, not exactly the vision we all had when we first saw this character, but that's what they did. They toned down the character to make it not as overbearing because it's so overpowering, but he's not a fighter, so there you go. That's how they equaled him out. But that's the history of the Jetfire/Skyfire and why it makes a very quick appearance. It looks very different, and you'll rarely see it ever again. And of course, let us know what you think of Jetfire/Skyfire. We want to hear in the comments. But now we're going to get to our review of Fire in the Sky, the 7th episode of Season 1.
So, we open up this episode with a scene of everything being covered in snow, which right off the bat makes me go, huh, aren't they in the middle of the desert in the Oregon next to the ocean?
Absolutely. I mean, every episode we've seen before, this shows they're very, very clearly in a desert. So, like, what's going on? And they all seem very comfortable with this, which is very strange, too. So, pretty much having a snowball fight. It starts out with a very funny scene where Jazz is sort of hiding as a snowbot, as he calls himself. Donnie is a snowbot, Spike sneaks up on him, and Jazz scares the bejesus out of him when the snow comes raining down.
But then we have all the puns come into play, and it's absolutely amazing. I love myself some good puns.
Wow, that's the biggest snowman I ever saw.
Not snowman, Spike. Snowbot. There's a flurry in a hurry.
Thanks, Jazz. I get the drift.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Hey, guys, that's Snow Fair.
Okay, Spike, you rat on me. I'll splat on you.
Here is Sub-Zero! Now, Plane Zero!
But you're thinking, what the heck is going on? They're near the Ark. There is snow in Oregon, but not in the desert next to the ocean. Doesn't happen.
No, it really doesn't. But they're all happy about it. I mean, I understand the Transformers probably wouldn't realize because they're from another planet. They don't get it. Spike should realize this is not normal. This should not be happening. Something's wrong here. Now, Optimus realizes something's wrong because while they're having their snowball fight, he's doing research. Along with Gears. They seem to be the only two Autobots who even care that something weird is happening with the Earth's atmosphere. Everyone else is like, hey, this is great. Optimus is finally using Teletran 1. Now, it's very weird how Teletran 1 works in this series. Sometimes it's self-sentient, sometimes you gotta type things into it, sometimes it comes up with things, sometimes you gotta ask it things. But Optimus is typing away on the gigantic keyboard. He's using like a new part of the Ark you've never seen yet. And yeah, pretty much there's something wrong with the weather. It's 40 degrees colder than what it's supposed to be. 40 degrees colder.
Wait a second. Give me a second. I just looked this up. It says that during our last ice age, 10,000 years ago, it was only 8 degrees colder than what it is today.
Wait a minute. So this is 32 degrees colder than the Ice Age.
That is correct.
The planet should be like minus 50, minus 60 degrees. I love how the writers in this, they get a little too weird in their writing. It's like, oh, let's make it really extreme. Yeah, 40 degrees below. That'll really freeze them. Not realizing, yeah, that would kill off everyone on the planet pretty much instantly, don't you think?
Well, don't forget, back in the 80s, we didn't have anything like the internet or anything useful like that. We had Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, all right. I'll give the 3 writers, by the way, on this episode the excuse for all 3 of them not coming up with a better way to go about this. But let's get back to the story here. So, yes, Teletran 1 pretty much says, yes, Optimus, there's something wrong with the weather, and it looks like it's Arctic Circle is where you have to look. And now, let's do one of our scene changes. We gotta go to the Arctic Circle.
Wait a second. What is a giant green glowing crystal? Oh god, they found the Fortress of Solitude. Yeah.
It is green. Hey, you're right. All right, we have a tie-in. Superman's gonna show up on it. This is great.
Oh, wait a second. That's not
Wait a minute.
Superman. That's not Kal-El.
That's Reflector.
And they found a crystal that goes to the core of the planet so they can harvest the heat energy from the planet. And I'm going, wait a second. Technically, you get heat due to pressure, which means they finally found a renewable source of energy that they could literally pull on for all of eternity so long as the planet exists. However, Starscream lets us know that they're going to literally pull all the heat from the planet, which made me scratch my head, but hey...
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
All right, Peter, but yeah, hold that thought. I think Vesper's onto something here, though. A green crystal. I mean, you gotta love Transformers stories, and we do. That's why we review this stuff. A green crystal has been unearthed in the planet, and I'm like, this is amazing. And it's like directly attached to the core. And all you have to do is hook a hose up to it and fill up some cubes, and you'll drain the planet, and as Megatron says, be able to take over the universe.
Oh yeah, this just further proves how the series is absolutely obsessed with crystals, because after all, the most powerful source of energy besides this one crystal on this planet is the Burmese mine crystals from the 2nd episode.
Yeah, I guess Decepticons are addicted to energy based on crystals. They must get off on this. I don't
Maybe
know.
it's like catnip is for a cat. They just have to have crystals.
It really feels that way. But yes, let's get on. We can talk about crystals all day. What do we have happen next here?
So next, we have Rumble in the middle of one of these tunnels, just literally pounding away for whatever reason, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, what exactly is Rumble doing? It's like, get back to work, and I'm like, Flector's got this pretty well. He has the hose hooked up to the green crystal. What else do they need to do here? That's it.
Well, what they need to do is give a segue for Skywarp to come in and make fun of Rumble, who can't seem to break up the ice. Of course, this makes Rumble pissed, so he breaks the ice and nearly kills them in an avalanche.
And of course, this is going to lead to the plot device of this episode. Starscream walks in. What's going on in here? You guys should get back to work, like the supervisor that you don't want to deal with. That's how Starscream came off in this episode.
When Rumble did knock the ice out, it revealed a metal piece coming out. They're like, oh, what is this?
Megatron appears out of the shadows and says, aha, we gotta find him. Like, where was Megatron this whole time?
Well, don't forget, Megatron says he doesn't trust Starscream because in almost every single episode, he is literally 2 feet behind Starscream wherever he appears. What we have now is Megatron doing what he always does. Starscream, dig it out. And guess what? They dig it out and they find it's a large, powerful robot monster. And I'm going, what? It's obviously a Cybertronian. Why are you referring to it like you found the missing link?
Yeah, it was very strange, the reaction, because Megatron, who's the leader of the Decepticons, should very well know what a Cybertronian looks like. It's not mystery to him, and he's looking up in awe. I mean, look at these expressions Megatron is giving. Like, he's just found the most powerful creation ever. Oh my god, some robot warrior that we didn't even know existed. Oh my god, I'm gonna rule the whole universe now. It is so badly written.
But wait, Ramses, there's more. You're talking about bad writing? Guess how the Autobots are going to get to the Arctic Circle?
They're gonna fly, of course. You can't get to the Arctic Circle by
No,
walking.
no, Ramses. They're not going to fly. They're going to transform and roll out.
Ah, they finally get to say that line. Yep, this is the first time you hear that classic line.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
But that's not why Vesper's mentioning this. No. Let's show a map of exactly where they're driving from. Let's say they're like on the west coast somewhere, maybe Oregon. And now let's draw a diagonal line to the Arctic Circle. Let's see. All right. All right, so we know that the distance from, say, Portland, Oregon to the Arctic Circle in Canada is 1,450 miles. That's a rough estimate, but I think that more than counts it. How long do you think it would take to drive that amount of distance? Straight line, non-stop, no brakes, just driving there, straight line. How long do you guys think it would take? Give you a second to think about it. All right, and your time is up. And for all you guys that said over 40 hours, you are correct. Congratulations. It would take over 40 hours to drive non-stop in a constant line from the United States, West Coast, all the way to the Arctic Circle. So
without stops, without traffic.
That's right. Congratulations to all you said that. Guess how long it takes the Autobots to get there? Maybe an hour or so? Because all this is going on, they appear right when all the action's going on.
Probably within 15 minutes, actually.
Right around the corner. And while this is all going on, remember, they found something in the ice. Yes, let's not forget, Megatron found his ultimate warrior to take over the universe with, and they're trying to repair him now. And this is actually interesting because we never really see how the Decepticons repair themselves. Who fixes the Decepticons? The answer is, any random bot that is just standing there is able to fix the Decepticon.
Here's where we find out what's wrong with this strange new robot.
Warrior.
Yes. Skyfire's impulse center was down, so they literally just rip it out of his chest. And then his cyber motor relays were useless after being on ice. Only way to fix this, according to Starscream, is to use 50,000 volts of electricity. Soundwave reaches up above the screen and pulls down a little ray gun and shoots him with it. He says, oh no, it's not working. We have to try 1,000,000, which you're like, that escalated quickly. Megatron's like, you're acting kind of funny, Starscream. And Starscream says, that's because I know this person. And you're like, what? But also, what we're forgetting about is that while this is going on, Soundwave does this to his arm.
Again, this time 1,000,000 volts.
Also, cyber motor relays are useless.
So how does Soundwave blast him in the million? That ray gun didn't do anything.
Well, here's the funny thing. Why is there a little button on top of his arm that he manually has to push? I do ask you this question.
I don't know. That was a little strange. So yes, they blast him with 1,000,000 volts. And yeah, that seems to do the trick. We have some moaning and groaning, and he sort of comes out of it. So as he's recovering, there's actually a fun story. Starscream's not going to sound like himself anymore. It's actually a very weird scene.
Look at that. They're literally looking at his brain and it's playing the story for us.
That's amazing. I didn't know Transformers even had that ability. This takes place millions of years in the past before the war even started. They mentioned that. Starscream should not be looking like an F-15 Eagle well before they were even on the arc that exploded into the mountain. How is that even possible? He's supposed to be in his Cybertronian form. How does that make any sense? That's a bad mistake right there. The animators didn't realize what they were doing. That's fine. The story itself is kind of interesting because we learned that Starscream had a softer side to him way back when.
He was actually a scientist, which may actually explain why he has a null ray and not a blaster. But here's the thing that makes even less sense. Skyfire and Starscream get disrupted in a polar vortex, and Skyfire is defeated by crashing into ice?
Again, very nonsensical. Starscream's been on Earth before, which is another story. Like, he didn't act like he knew anything about Earth when we saw him. I understand he only flew around, but he mentions, I searched nonstop for him all over the planet. And again, I understand millions of years ago, the planet looked very, very different. But a robot should realize when you're on a location before. So much story bending to make this weird situation work. And the reason this has to work is Starscream and Skyfire were quote-unquote scientific buddies. They were explorers, and they were looking at Earth, and they don't really mention what they were on Earth. He's lost in the Arctic. Starscream never got over it, and he flew back to Cybertron and then joined the Decepticon War shortly after, and then that was it.
After this wonderful flashback, we have Skyfire sit up and go through the...
What happened?
But here's the best part about it. When he sits up, he has a red Decepticon symbol on his chest.
Wow, is that foreshadowing? First of all, no one put anything on him, by the way, and this was before the war started, so he did not have a symbol this time. And he has blue eyes, by the way, you should know. All Decepticons have red eyes. Autobots have blue eyes. So a red Decepticon symbol with blue eyes. That's wow, foreshadowing, folks. A few minutes later, Megatron will slap a new purple symbol right on his chest as if he didn't have anything on there previously.
But here's the best part about all of this, is that Skyfire is getting explained about what's happening. We're the honorable Decepticon, and we're fighting the evil Autobots. He should be going, huh? What? What's an Autobot? What's a Decepticon? And then he says, well, what's our purpose? And Megatron's to take over the universe.
Oh, okay. So the evil guys are trying to stop us good guys from taking over. I see. All right, I gotcha. So maybe he thinks it's like the Empire. The Empire is trying to help everybody to keep them in order and control. Maybe that's what he thinks they mean by good.
Well, maybe, but I'll also give him the benefit of the doubt. My buddy Starscream's over there. He doesn't realize that in the 8 million years he's been gone, Starscream is becoming an utter idiot.
But there you go. That's how they convince him. They slap a new Decepticon symbol on him. Megatron's like, welcome to the team. You're now the guard.
He was a scientist. Guys, a scientist, not a soldier. Scientist.
Right.
I'm not going to send the scientist to the guard duty.
So yeah, so now 2 minutes has passed, and oh, they're there. See, and it's a nice ride. Sparkplug hasn't moved an inch in those 2 minutes that they've been driving. He's been very still.
It's definitely a hologram by Hound, because I'm not even sure Sparkplug's actually there. They see the Aurora Borealis, so you know you're in the Arctic Circle.
Skyfire has probably the most occurrences of his size changing.
Not just a little, by the way. We're talking giant differences.
He's lying on the table as they're repairing him, and he's only a little bigger. Now he's standing out there on guard duty, and the tiny-looking cars show up, and he is hulking, and he is, like, massive over him. It's kind of like Godzilla-like way he's looking down at these cars as the Autobots drive up him.
The Autobots literally see Skyfire roll right up to him as Skyfire looks at them and says,
Halt! Identify yourselves!
They just immediately all transform up right in front of him. As, of course, after Spike and Sparkplug run for their lives.
Now, the reasoning for bringing Spike and Sparkplug are a little confusing to me. I understand that the Autobots are still learning about Earth and, you know, their human companions help them, but why bring them here? It didn't make any sense.
They jump out. What should have happened is this.
Well, they just turned into icicles. Folks, don't go to the Arctic Circle when it's 40 degrees lower than it's supposed to be. Just wearing a nice little fur skin hat and a coat.
Look how freaking big Skyfire is. Them all in their sights, and Optimus, which is by far at this point the biggest Autobot they have, looks like a teeny itty bitty little weenie man.
Yeah, he speaks the truth. And now they're all like, oh my god, what is that? Who is that? Blah, blah, blah.
There are 8 Autobots versus 1 Skyfire. And I want to point this out to you because a firefight immediately commences between what looks to be 2 Autobots out of 8.
And now, of course, what do you think is going to happen? It's not going to be the fighting. It's going to be the 2 humans they brought along that's going to cause all the problems.
That's right. They get isolated and get stuck on an iceberg, which makes no sense because they run well the hell away from this battle.
Spike will tumble through ice and into water. Again, remember how we mentioned 40 degrees lower currently in this Arctic Circle. That would be hypothermia, wouldn't it?
Yes, and the human body is actually kind of resistant to it up to a certain point.
Alright, well, thank goodness Sparkplug was there, because Sparkplug just pulls him out, and then they're having a fun tug of war where Spike keeps trying to fall back in. Skyfire is a scientist. He would be interested to see the native life on the planet he finds himself on. So he sees 2 indigenous life forms, that's Spike and Sparkplug, and he goes over to explore as everyone's still firing on him.
But also notice there's still only 2 Autobots firing him as he tiptoes right through it. They're like, "Oh, we're captured by the evil Decepticons." He's like, "No, I'm not here.
Wrong.
I don't want to hurt you." And they're like, "No, you're wrong. You're evil." So he's like, "No, I'll prove that we're not the bad guys. I'll take you to Megatron."
And that's when you slap yourself in the face and you're like, oh my god, is he really doing this? Yes, he's really doing this.
We've got to find a safer way to rescue them, if there is one.
So now we see that Skyfire has taken Spike and Sparkplug to see Megatron. "Ah, you've done good, Skyfire. You have caught these wonderful Autobot sympathizers."
Starscream, deal with them.
So what does Starscream do? He throws them as hard as he can into a freaking ice wall. So they should have exploded. But, this is the only continuity you're going to have in the entire series is humans are super strong and super tough.
Well, I can't kill them because they're invincible. So I'm just going to put an ice cage around them. That'll stop
Wait a second,
them.
Ramses. Does that look like that's going to actually hold them?
No, you can very clearly see they can slip through those openings very easily.
And here's the best part. He says they're his friends at this point.
How?
How?
For 30 seconds and they're your best friends all the time?
This is where you start to see that something is wrong because they're like, "You're talking like a traitor," and Starscream shoots his hand with an all ray.
My function is to further science and learning, not to destroy innocent life forms.
By the way, this is internal monologue, which you never see.
You are never going to hear the thoughts of a Transformer. This is actually a big deal. It makes no sense that we are hearing his internal thoughts like that. He should have just said that out loud. But anyway, let's move on to what happened next. Autobots are now going to try to come and rescue Sparkplug and Spike.
So they pull up to the only entrance to the underground. Piers is like, "Oh, I don't want to go in. I feel like we're going into a trap." And then guess what? The entire floor collapses. But it wasn't a trap. It was because
Ironhide's carrying too much lead in his caboose.
But yes, now the teams are split and they're just driving along again. The episode's very weird. Like, they're so comfortable in this icy environment. They keep driving down all these paths and they do work their way, Sparkplug and Spike. And it's brave, brazen Cliffjumper. And Optimus is like, "Gee, I don't know what we're gonna do." And Cliffjumper's like, screw that. Good thing my laser has a new setting on it. And it's like, what setting is that? And he just blasts the ice and it all melts. The defrost cycle.
Well, I should think they should be absolutely thankful Cliffjumper didn't pull that huge-ass cannon out of his butt again.
Yeah, that would have been very effective.
So now, after they've been totally released, Optimus makes a wise decision of trying to find the other Autobots and hope they don't get caught before they do. So the team consisting of Gears, Ironhide, Ratchet, and Hound, of course, have the luck of finding Megatron within 2 seconds of this happening.
So you think they'd have the whole ice cave would be filled with like thousands of cubes? No, it's merely like 100 cubes behind one of them, and that's it.
What's even more hilarious is the fact they're obviously hiding, and they're not doing a bad job of it. But I guess, Ironhide's head just gave it away when Megatron's like,
Yes, Starscream, unless we are foolish enough to be careless. Seize those Autobots!
And so, of course, they almost get instantly captured, for Megatron proves he's also a good leader and says, "We need to see if there's any more Autobots," so Soundwave sends out Ravage.
And Ravage is actually going to find Optimus Prime. So this is actually an interesting scene because Cliffjumper is still leading the whole group, and Ravage jumps right on Cliffjumper. You're like, oh no! You would think that Optimus's huge proton gun would destroy a Decepticon like Ravage. No, it electrozaps him and he buzzes and it pretty much just chases him off and that's it. I'm like, wow. Yep, let's move on now. They got out of that situation. So now we're going to have the element that's important to the story.
Remember, Megatron thinks that Skyfire might be slightly traitorous because he doesn't want to kill everything he sees. So why the hell are you going to send Skyfire out with yet the other person that you can't trust, which is Starscream? This is bad. I would never do this.
Megatron, every time you trust Starscream to do something, you are making a mistake. And here we go again. Starscream has them all lined up. And remember, his weapon is a null ray. I don't know why a null ray is suddenly such a deadly weapon. They're standing at the crystal, which is, again, is a very weird situation. Why would you do it at the energy source that you're claiming will help you take over the universe? But he's going to give his old buddy and pal, Skyfire, the chance to do it. You will have the honors of destroying him. And this is where Skyfire is going to turn. Skyfire is like, no, I don't want to hurt anyone. I am a scientist, not a warrior. And then Starscream's like, well, then you're going to die, friend. And he blams him in the chest with his null ray.
Which shouldn't kill him, by the way. But this also gives the Autobots a chance because Starscream looked away and didn't notice
that Hound has an ability that Starscream should be very aware of, but for some reason they aren't. Talon has an ability to make holograms. So Starscream's going to fire at holograms, so that's why it doesn't hit anybody, which is very clear. It didn't hit anybody, it hit the crystal. And then Starscream's going to look at all the rubble. Oh my god, you destroyed all 4 of the Autobots, that's it.
If Starscream was truly a scientist, shouldn't he be going, I don't remember my null ray causing explosions?
Starscream is an idiot too. Like, we've already established that in this episode. Now the Autobots are going to show up when Starscream walks away. I took care of that. Megatron will be so proud. And all the rest of the Autobots show up, and Ratchet starts to work on Skyfire trying to fix him, and Hound says, ha ha ha, it was a hologram all along.
The only problem is when they drag him away to fix him, and of course running into the rest of the Autobots at the same time, is that we see Laserbeak using a wonderful radar gun from his head.
And that's not even the weird part. The weird part is, where are these beams going? It's going to, I don't know how to describe this. It's a part of Megatron's body that's lighting up as this is happening.
Just say it, Ramses. It's lighting up Megatron's nipples.
And somehow he's able to understand this beam or radar through him. He's like, Starscream, you failed me again.
Yeah, but the best part is when he whacks him in the head with the energon cubes.
You disgust me.
See, Ramses, this is why I love Megatron, because he does the same things I do to you when you screw up.
I feel your pain, Starscream, I do.
Now that Starscream screwed up, he has to go back and fix his problems by taking the other Seekers and dropping bombs on the...
Suddenly they're bombers. I thought they were F-15 fighter jets. But Optimus is going to do something really cool here, and you're not going to see this often. Remember when we saw Roller the second episode? I was like, wow, Roller. You barely get to see Roller. Well, Optimus had another component besides Roller, and do you know what that is? Very rarely seen combat deck. Yes, and this is the coolest part. Optimus' trailer, and again, they were showing off the toys here, opens up. It has the roller car in it. It also has a gun unit called the combat deck that fires automatic. It is so cool.
Also makes no freaking sense because by the lore, his gun itself is more powerful. But I guess this thing is hella accurate. So Skywarp, after he gets hit, says, oh, I can't control myself anymore. So instead of falling back and getting out of combat, accelerates into Thundercracker.
So 2 for the price of 1 with 1 little blam from the combat deck. That's amazing. I don't know why Optimus doesn't use it more often.
But now, here's where the real battle begins.
That's right, Optimus Megatron battle. Because what episode is complete without Optimus and Megatron having a episode-ending battle?
Megatron walks up behind Optimus, who is not sure he's there, but manages to dodge a bolt of energy that travels faster than the speed of light. Optimus, being the true leader of leaders, rips off a piece of the crystal and gets Megatron's attention by knocking his cannon off so they can have a nice little battle with what looks like to be green lightsabers.
Megatron shows off another one of his weird abilities. He'll do a handstand over Optimus while holding the crystal shard. Whole body will do a 360 and twist around as his legs are now facing the other way, and his torso will face back the other way as he stands back behind him. Who knew they can do this?
I'll raise you Megatron's cool move, and raise you Optimus's cool move, where he takes the crystal and turns it into basically a helicopter that beats the crap out of Megatron. But Megatron's like, very well, but you still lose. My secret weapon's here. And it's Skyfire.
Ah, yes, it's such an 80s trope. You know 80s tropes, that's where something that happens in almost every situation when you have a new character introduced that's going to turn. Well, we've already made it very clear that Skyfire is not happy about being a Decepticon. Now we have the aha! Yes, now you're in trouble. My loyal soldier, Skyfire, is here to stop you. And I'm like, wow. Alright, are we really going to that, Megatron? Are you really that stupid? Yes, he's really that stupid. Now we have the classic moment of the episode, the turn. Skyfire is going to rip that Decepticon symbol right off his chest, and it must be made out of tissue paper because it crumbles to dust.
Wait. He shouldn't be able to rip it off. It's like tattooed onto his hide. He should be ripping his chassis off.
Yes, pretty much. And then he's going to hold a metal plate with an Autobot symbol already on it. So you wonder, Skyfire just carrying this around in the hopes that he might need it?
And then he gently picks up Megatron and throws him away because, well, he's bigger than he is. Not as big as we've seen him earlier in the episode,
he's shrunk a little here now, yes. That's it for Megatron. Megatron's like, oh, ice, my mortal enemy, oh.
After he does that, we now see the most silliest thing in the entire episode, as we see Reflector doing a circus routine and running straight at something that's like 4 times their size.
Yes, they're doing this Cirque du Soleil. I love it. And Skyfire's like, you gotta be kidding me. And he easily deals with this nonsense.
So now that leaves only Starscream to be dealt with. And Skyfire reminds Starscream he has a jet mode as well.
You forget, Starscream.
I can transform too.
And they go, and instead of shooting at each other, they play chicken. And the best part is like, oh look, Starscream crashed down there. So what? The Autobots are running, why is the Skyfire coming down? And Skyfire's like, oh, I've been mortally wounded, but I need to hang on for just a second. I'm going to blow up the top of this snowy hill and bury this crystal. By the way, that makes no sense because this crystal is like 50 feet above the ground.
And it's attached to the Earth's core. So you imagine how big this thing is already. So yeah, finally Skyfire is going to use a gun. He needs another little gun that forms inside of that to fire his gun. I'm like, wait, what? So finally he's going to use a gun to self-sacrifice himself in the crystal.
Which makes no sense because he hits it, blows it up, and manages to land down before everything crashes down on the Decepticons and himself.
And there's a fun little circle in the ground glowing where Skyfire's body now lies.
So he just made a new mountain is what we're seeing here.
Spike is going to cry, oh, I can't believe it, we lost a friend. And then Optus gives a classic quote to end the episode to make Spike feel better.
You won't be forgotten, Spike. You will live forever, so long as freedom exists. We shall remember you, Skyfire.
We shall remember.
And that's the end of the episode. Yes, so we're supposed to believe that Skyfire is lost. All the Decepticons are lost because, again, ice.
Wait a second, Ramses. I just thought of something. There is a survivor. Do you know who it is?
No, who's the one?
Soundwave. Have you seen him since the beginning of the episode?
Oh, you're right. I have a feeling this isn't the last we'll see of Skyfire. No, you already know this now. We already mentioned he comes back again. So, see you all when that happens. But now, we are a review show. It is time to review this episode. But let's see what our leader, Vespor, had to say about this episode, Fire in the Sky.
As far as episodes go that we've seen, and boy, so far have we seen some doozies, this one actually isn't bad. It follows an actual story arc with a climax and catharsis. Albeit it's the catharsis of an A-Team episode. We were going, this doesn't make any sense, but okay. They introduce a new character, and they get you interested in him. He's a scientist. He doesn't want to kill if he doesn't have to, although he's not afraid to. We knew that he could fight Decepticons or Autobots if it came down to it. The characters were very well laid out, thought out. They made sure Cliffjumper was still the hothead he was and just got himself stopped at every moment possible that he could get himself stopped or ambushed at. The actual animation errors in this was actually quite low compared to some of the earlier episodes, and I liked it a lot, albeit not as much as the other ones, so I'm going to give it a 3 stars. This is definitely not an average episode, but there's not enough going on to make it better than a 3 to me. Now that being said, there was only one Transformer that I loved more than Optimus Prime, and that was Jetfire, aka Skyfire. So to see him was wonderful, and I loved it, and I wanted them to use him more, but as we explained earlier in the history section, legal liabilities kept him from being seen more.
It's an interesting episode. It starts out with a fun snowball situation. They're all joking, making fun comments. Then it turns a little serious where you see there's a reason why there's snow everywhere, and of course it's the Decepticons, and thus we gotta go investigate. It's a very typical, silly, I'm going to drain the energy plot. Very typical plot, but it takes us to a new setting. I like the Arctic setting because that's different. I always love the coincidences in this show. They're able to find Skyfire by some random happenstance of 2 Decepticons just finding him randomly. You gotta love that, but you gotta have coincidences happen to have a story. I understand that. Fun situation, and Skyfire has an interesting personality because he's a scientist, but he's loyal to Starscream, but Starscream's backstabber like no one else, so he couldn't care less about loyalty. And we have the inner monologue of Skyfire fighting with these demons. Do I want to be loyal? I want to believe, but I see the Autobots are really the good guys, and I gotta what's right. So I liked where they were going with it. It was a fun usage of it. Story itself is very typical, basic, nothing special, but the episode's a lot of fun. You always like when they introduce new characters, even if short-lived ones like Skyfire. Always so exciting for a kid. Like, wow, the new toy. Yes, I want to see what this character does, and it's going to get better as we get through these episodes. There's going to be a lot more characters introduced, and it's always such an exciting event when a new character is brought in because it adds such a expansion to the universe. So I like where the story was. Very silly at points, but every Transformer episode has silly moments. Doesn't matter. I'm going to give this 3 stars also. I think it's right above that. It's not average. It's a little better, but not great. It's very good. Has its moments. Great battle scene with Optimus and Megatron fighting. You always love when that happens. Lots of jokes in it. These Decepticons had some moments. Skyfire did what he had to do. I thought it was great. Definitely for you Jetfire/Skyfire fans, this is the episode to see because this is his biggest moment he's going to have in the whole series, and it's actually an enjoyable one. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Vestor's Retro Reviews. Thanks for joining us again for another review of a Transformers 1984 episode. We're going to keep going on as long as we can. We plan to do all of them, so let us know what you thought. It's very important that we get your feedback. Your feedback has been great. We want to keep it coming. What did you guys think of Skyfire? That's what we want to hear. Till next time, we'll see you here on Vestor's Retro Reviews. Please don't forget to
like, comment, subscribe, and
ring that bell. We'll see you all next time, Vestor's Retro Reviews. Thanks for joining us, and again, transform and roll out. This is the first episode where you heard that classic line, by the way. Good bit of trivia there. Stay tuned for our closing statement by one of the Transformers. We'll have a fun quote for you, as always, to end this episode. See you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Hang on! I'll have you out fast.
Lucky for you, my laser has a defrost cycle.